Excuse me? The date. You know, to be honest with you, I don't even remember what the date was. But I can just tell you the first and only time that I went in and said we should do mitigation strongly, the response was, yes, we'll do it.
Are you doing this voluntarily, or did the
No,
president
I'm doing it.
arrest you?
Everything I do is voluntarily. Please, don't even imply that.
His team is on it. They've been responsive late at night, early in the morning.
Because when I did act, I was criticized by Nancy Pelosi, by Sleepy Joe Biden. I was criticized by everybody. In fact, I was called xenophobic. I was asking Biden to please define that for me. What do you do? What do you do when you have no case in the whole United States?
You had cases
when
in February.
excuse me, you reported it. 0 cases, 0 deaths on January 17th.
February, the entire
January.
month of
I said in
February. Your video
January.
has a complete gap.
On
Month of
January
February.
30th.
What did your administration do in February with the time that your travel ban botched?
A lot.
What?
A lot. And in fact, we'll give you a list. What we did, in fact, part of it was up there. We did a lot. Look. You know you're a fake. You know that. Your whole network, the way you cover it, is fake. We're adding 6,190 ventilators to the strategic national stockpile, of which we have a lot already, thousands, close to 10,000. But this will be added by May 8th, another 29,000 by the end of May, and more than 120,000 total we will have by the end of the year. Our massive airlift operation to bring personal protective equipment into the United States, which has now delivered nearly 500,000 N95 masks, 370 million gloves, 25 million surgical masks, and 4.9 million gowns. So we have millions of gowns, gloves, masks, all surgical equipment coming in should the states need it.
The question to you is, what provision in the Constitution gives the president the power to open or close state economies? And then
numerous provisions. We'll give you a legal brief if you want.
And then we'll be looking forward to that, sir. But following up, what happens if you say, for instance, we want states to reopen, but California or New York do not open? What would you do then?
I think everybody wants to open. Let me just tell you, very simple. I'm going to put it very simply. The President of the United States has the authority to do what the President has the authority to do, which is very powerful. The President of the United States calls the shots. If we weren't here for the states, you would have had a problem in this country like you've never seen before. And if they don't do a good job, I'd step in so fast. But no, they can't do anything without the approval of the President of the United States. Go ahead, please.
So if some states refuse to reopen and you order them to, the 10th Amendment to the Constitution says all powers that don't reside in the President or the Congress reside in the states. How do you overcome that?
Well, if some states refuse to open, I would like to see that person run for election.
For instance, if a governor issued a stay-at-home order...
When you say my authority, the President's authority, not mine, because it's not me. This is when somebody's the President of the United States, the authority is total. And that's the way it's got to be.
Your authority is total.
It's total. It's total.
Your
And the
authority is
governors
total.
know that.
So if a
The governors know that. Now, you have a couple of bands of excuse me. You have a couple.
Could you rescind that order?
You have a couple of bands of Democrat governors, but they will agree to it. They will agree to it. But the authority of the President of the United States having to do with the subject we're talking about is total.
You said when someone is President of the United States, their authority is total. That is not true. Who
Okay,
told
you know
that?
what we're going to do? We're going to write up papers on this. It's not going to be necessary because the governors need us one way or the other, because ultimately it comes with the federal government. That being said, we're getting along very well with the governors, and I feel very certain that there won't be a problem.
I support the President's leadership under the National Emergency Declaration that he signed. Make no mistake about it. In the long history of this country, the authority of the President of the United States during national emergencies is unquestionably plenary. You can look back through times of war and other national emergencies. And as the President said, we'll happily brief that.
I can't comment about anything outside of my own field, but the thing that when I think back on was evolving in my mind was something that was a virus that was much worse than what I had thought it was going to be, based on what we had learned early on, when it was first felt to be something that just jumped from an animal to a human, and really didn't have much capability of going human to human. But then as you go back and you realize there were probably a lot of infections that maybe if we had dealt into that a little bit more, we could have learned that not only is it affecting human to human, but it's transmitting really efficiently. When I question myself, I'm not perfect. Maybe I wouldn't say made mistakes, but maybe I should have really tried to delve into that a little bit more about what was going on, but the information wasn't as forthcoming as I would have liked. And then all of a sudden, when you find out that you're dealing with something that is not only what had been your worst nightmare, because people ask me that, what is your worst nightmare? A brand new virus that's respiratory transmitted, that has a high degree of transmissibility, that has a high degree of morbidity and mortality. You know, is that a mistake? Maybe I should have been able to realize that earlier. I'm not sure it was a mistake. It was just an evolving thing that we finally realized and said, whoa.